Tonight, top Democrats are hammering President Trump for downplaying the coronavirus, calling it a disgrace, even as the president is struggling to defend his actions. Joining us now, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. I want to get your reaction to this truly bombshell reporting from Bob Woodward. President continues to defend his decision to downplay the threat of the virus, downplay it to the American people. And he actually is now going so far as to assert that Woodward, not he, that Woodward should have warned the American public about the dangers if he thought they were a big deal. What do you say to that?
It's the president's responsibility. He can't foist it off on anyone else. The president knew that this virus was deadly. He knew that the virus could be transmitted through the air, was highly communicable through the air, and he lied to the public about it. And he lied to the public about it because he thought it would be harmful to his reelection campaign. That is unforgivable. Literally the blood of tens of thousands of Americans, maybe over 100, now 190,000 Americans are on the president's hands for that callous judgment he made to deceive the American people. And there's no foisting that off on anyone else, notwithstanding his repeated claims of, I take no responsibility. The buck does stop with the President of the United States.
Another 1,206 Americans died just yesterday from coronavirus. Almost 1,000 Americans a day are still dying, and the numbers are horrific. You're the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. When did you know, Congressman, how serious, how deadly, what a major problem this was? When were you briefed by the experts?
We started getting briefings in February, in early to mid-February. And at that time, at least the briefings that we were getting were not, I think, quite as detailed as what the president is outlining to Bob Woodward. We did know that this was a deep concern. We couldn't tell, as I recall, those very early briefings, what the mortality rate was of people who were infected, because we didn't know how many people had been infected with the virus. I think we knew that it was communicable and communicable through the air. But in terms of how deadly it was, the president appears to have known more than we did at that time, because as I recall in those briefings, there was some ambiguity on that question.
It's interesting. He was sharing what he knew with Bob Woodward, not necessarily with the House Intelligence Committee. As we head towards a possible vaccine, and we all hope that it comes sooner rather than later, how much faith in what the president says is going to be essential? Will a vaccine be effective without the American public's trust?
It won't be successful unless the American people feel it's safe enough to take, and that they can rely on the government having done and overseen the clinical trials and done the due diligence that's necessary. We already have that problem with other vaccinations. There's a strong anti-vaccination movement that pushes out a lot of false information online. But here, where it has been so clear time after time that the president is contradicting his own scientists, that he's pressing for them to say and do things that that are at odds with their ethical and moral obligations, he is creating doubts in the minds of the American people about the efficacy of whatever comes out of this process. That's dangerous. So someone is going to have to establish public trust so that when we do have a vaccine and we know that it's safe, the American people use it. Otherwise, it will continue to spread and continue to kill people.
I want to ask you, Congressman, about this new whistleblower complaint accusing Trump appointees of actually downplaying Russian election interference. And just a little while ago, the president said he hadn't seen the complaint. He actually asked if you were the whistleblower. How do you respond to these statements from the president?
It's one absurdity heaped upon another absurdity. The whistleblower complaint that we just got is a very serious one from the former head of the intelligence agency at the Department of Homeland Security, who outlines, just as we had feared, that, from the top on down, coming from the National Security Advisor, coming from the Secretary of DHS himself, they were instructing the intelligence agencies to make things up, to hype certain threats that were not prevalent, like terrorists coming in on the southern border, to stop collecting intelligence on the Russian efforts to interfere in our election, to lie to Congress about these things. It's inexcusable, and more than that, it's just dangerous, because if they're not sharing this information with the American people, the country isn't protected. But this is clearly part of a pattern where they put pressure on the agencies to adopt, manipulate, color their analysis, because if they tell the truth, it will be embarrassing to the president. Well, they need to tell the truth, because without it, we can't protect the country.
That's absolutely correct. Congressman Adam Schiff, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.